Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. The future doesn't wait. It doesn't care if you're ready or not, it shows up anyway. The real question is, will you face it with fear or with fire? There are three skills you absolutely need if you want to thrive in what's coming. Not just survive, but rise above the noise. Skill hash 1, adaptability. The world is changing faster than ever. Technology, economies, opportunities, they're shifting daily. If you cling to the old, you'll break. The key is to bend without losing your foundation. Ask yourself, how quickly can I learn, adjust, and execute? Adaptability is not about knowing everything. It's about being willing to change everything when the moment demands it. Skill hash 2, emotional intelligence. Listen closely. Data and knowledge are everywhere, but people don't follow data. They follow emotion. Your ability to manage your own state, read others, and connect at a deeper level will determine the doors that open for you. In tough times, people need leaders who can remain calm, grounded, and focused. Be that person. Emotional mastery is influence. Skill hash 3, critical thinking. In a world of information overload, the rarest skill is discernment. Everyone has an opinion, but not everyone has clarity. You need the ability to step back, analyze, and separate fact from noise. The ones who can see through confusion and create clear strategies will be the ones others depend on. That's power in the future. Now imagine this, you're adaptable. You don't just survive change, you ride it like a wave. You're emotionally intelligent. You inspire, connect, and lead. You're a critical thinker. You cut through the chaos and create solutions. Tell me, who could stop you then? The truth is, nobody's coming to rescue you. The world rewards the prepared, the resilient, and the bold. The future belongs to those who build these skills today, not tomorrow, not someday. So here's my challenge. Starting now, commit to growth. Commit to practicing adaptability when life throws a curveball. Commit to mastering your emotions instead of being mastered by them. Commit to sharpening your mind so no storm can shake your vision, because when the future comes, and it will, you won't just be ready. You'll be unstoppable. Adaptability is not just a nice-to-have quality. It is the very foundation of survival and success in a rapidly changing world. Think about it. History has always rewarded those who learned how to pivot, adjust, and reinvent themselves when the environment demanded it. The truth is, change doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't knock gently and wait for you to be ready. It storms in, often unannounced, and only those who are flexible enough to move with it, rather than against it, find themselves ahead of the curve. In today's age, with technology evolving daily, industries being reshaped overnight, and global events shaking economies, adaptability has become the single most powerful edge you can develop. What does adaptability really mean? It means having the mindset to embrace change instead of fearing it. It's about being willing to let go of what worked yesterday in order to make room for what will work tomorrow. Many people cling to old habits, old systems, and old ways of thinking because it feels safe. But safety is an illusion when the ground beneath you is shifting. The ones who thrive are those who train themselves to become comfortable with discomfort. They see uncertainty not as a threat, but as an invitation to grow, to explore, and to innovate. Adaptability is not about knowing everything, it's about learning fast. It's about being resourceful enough to say, I don't have the answer right now, but I'll figure it out. Think about how many businesses crumbled when the digital age arrived, while others exploded because they were willing to evolve. The bookstores that refused to go online disappeared, while those who adapted became e-commerce giants. The employees who resisted learning new tools were replaced, while those who embraced change became leaders. In every era, the ones who adapt are the ones who dominate. Adaptability also means flexibility in your thinking. It means not being rigidly attached to one perspective, but being open to new ideas and different approaches. A rigid tree snaps in the storm, but the bamboo bends and survives. If your mindset is rigid, the moment life delivers something unexpected, you'll break under pressure. But if your mind is flexible, you'll bend, you'll adjust, and then you'll stand tall again, often stronger than before. And let's be real, adapting is not always comfortable. It often feels awkward, uncertain, and even frustrating. But discomfort is the birthplace of growth. Every time you adapt, you stretch your capacity. Every time you stretch, you expand your possibilities. Adaptability is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. Start by practicing in small ways. Change your routine, try new skills, expose yourself to different environments. That way, when life throws you a massive curveball, you've already built the capacity to adjust quickly and effectively. What's powerful about adaptability is that it creates opportunity. When everyone else is panicking about change, the adaptable person is asking, where is the possibility here? That's why adaptable leaders rise in times of crisis. They see openings where others see dead ends. They find solutions when others freeze in fear. This is not because they know more, it's because they trust their ability to grow into whatever is required. At the core of adaptability is a decision. Will you resist change and be left behind, or will you embrace it and rise? The future is not going to slow down for you. The world will not adjust to your comfort zone. The sooner you train yourself to move with change, the sooner you position yourself not just to survive, but to thrive. Adaptability transforms uncertainty into possibility, challenges into lessons, and obstacles into stepping stones. When you master it, you no longer fear the unknown. You welcome it, because you know you have the power to turn it into your advantage. Emotional intelligence is one of the most underrated yet powerful skills that determines the quality of your relationships, the impact of your leadership, and even the trajectory of your success. In a world overflowing with knowledge, where information is only a click away, what truly sets people apart is not what they know but how they connect, how they manage their inner world, and how they influence the emotions of others. Emotional intelligence is not about ignoring feelings. It is about understanding them, channeling them, and using them as fuel instead of allowing them to become chains that hold you back. At its core, emotional intelligence begins with self-awareness. This is the ability to notice your emotional state in the moment without being swept away by it. Most people live on autopilot, reacting to stress, anger, or fear without even recognizing the trigger. Self-awareness creates a pause between what happens to you and how you respond. In that pause lies your power. The more aware you are of your emotions, the more choice you have in how you use them. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about mastering them so they serve you instead of sabotage you. Once you are aware, the next level is self-regulation. This is where you take ownership of your state. Life will test you, disappointments, conflicts, unexpected challenges, but emotional intelligence gives you the ability to stay grounded instead of being hijacked by negative emotions. Imagine being in a heated situation where anger could easily destroy the conversation, but instead of lashing out, you choose calm, you choose clarity, and you choose to elevate the moment rather than lower it. That is strength, and the truth is, people trust and follow those who remain composed under pressure because stability creates influence. Emotional intelligence also extends outward into empathy, the ability to understand the emotions of others. Human beings are driven by feelings more than logic. When someone feels seen, heard, and understood, you create a bond that no degree or title can replace. This doesn't mean agreeing with everyone, but it means listening deeply, tuning into body language, tone, and the unspoken messages behind words. When you can sense what someone is experiencing and respond in a way that acknowledges their emotions, you earn trust, and trust is the foundation of every relationship, whether personal or professional. Then comes the ability to use this understanding to build meaningful connections. Leaders with emotional intelligence don't just give orders, they inspire. Friends with emotional intelligence don't just hear your words, they feel your heart. Parents with emotional intelligence don't just discipline, they guide with compassion. In every arena of life, the ability to connect emotionally multiplies your impact. It allows you to influence without force, to persuade without manipulation, and to lead without fear. What makes emotional intelligence so vital for the future is that technology, no matter how advanced, cannot replace it. Artificial intelligence can process data, but it cannot create genuine human connection. It cannot empathize, inspire, or read the subtle emotional cues that shape decisions. In a world where machines are taking over technical tasks, emotional intelligence will remain the most human advantage you have. It is the skill that ensures you are not just relevant, but irreplaceable. Developing emotional intelligence takes practice. It requires daily awareness, catching yourself in emotional reactions, asking why you feel a certain way, and choosing how to respond. It requires patience in conversations, listening more than you speak, and paying attention to what is beneath the words. It requires humility to accept feedback and courage to admit when your emotions get the better of you. But with time, these practices shape you into someone who not only understands themselves, but also lifts others. When you cultivate emotional intelligence, you step into a rare space of influence. People naturally gravitate toward those who bring stability, empathy, and clarity into uncertain environments. You become a source of calm in the storm, a voice of encouragement in moments of doubt, and a leader people trust when everything else feels unstable. That is why emotional intelligence is not just a skill, it is a superpower. It turns ordinary interactions into opportunities, conflicts into connections, and challenges into chances to rise higher. Critical thinking is the skill that separates those who are controlled by the noise of the world from those who rise above it with clarity and vision. In an age where information is everywhere, confusion is the real enemy. We are bombarded every single day with news, opinions, advice, and data, much of it conflicting, much of it incomplete, and much of it designed to manipulate rather than inform. Without critical thinking, it is easy to be swept away by every headline, every rumor, every emotional post on social media. But when you cultivate critical thinking, you become the kind of person who doesn't just react to the world, you interpret it, analyze it, and respond with wisdom. Critical thinking is not about being negative or skeptical for the sake of it. It is about asking better questions, digging deeper, and refusing to accept things at face value. It's about having the courage to challenge assumptions, even your own. For example, when you hear a statement, do you immediately believe it, or do you pause and ask, what's the evidence? Who benefits from this? Is there another perspective I haven't considered? That pause alone can change the quality of your decisions. Because decisions based on assumptions or emotions can cost you time, energy, and opportunity, but decisions rooted in clarity and discernment create progress and power. What makes critical thinking so valuable is that it gives you the ability to see patterns where others see chaos. When people are overwhelmed, they often default to quick fixes, shortcuts, or the loudest voice in the room. The critical thinker, on the other hand, takes a step back, filters out the noise, and focuses on what actually matters. This ability makes you a problem solver in a world full of problem spotters. Anyone can point out what's wrong, but few can cut through the clutter and design real solutions. Those who can do this will always be sought after because clarity is rare and incredibly valuable. Critical thinking also demands emotional discipline. When fear spikes, people often abandon logic. When excitement surges, they can ignore risks. A critical thinker recognizes these emotional impulses but doesn't let them dictate their decisions. They ask, what's really happening here? What do the facts say? Where am I being swayed by emotion rather than reality? By grounding themselves in logic while still respecting emotion, they strike a balance that leads to sound judgment. In leadership, critical thinking is even more powerful. Leaders are constantly faced with decisions that affect not only themselves, but also their teams, their businesses, and sometimes entire communities. A leader who lacks critical thinking will either freeze in indecision or rush into poor choices. But a leader who thinks critically inspires confidence. People follow those who can navigate complexity, explain the reasoning behind choices, and adapt when new information arises. Critical thinking is not just about being right. It's about creating direction when others feel lost. Developing critical thinking is like building a mental muscle. You strengthen it by questioning more, by reading diverse perspectives, by exposing yourself to challenges that require analysis instead of easy answers. You strengthen it by practicing patience, by learning to sit with complexity instead of rushing to quick conclusions. And you strengthen it by reflecting on your own decisions, what worked, what didn't, and why. Each reflection sharpens your ability to see more clearly the next time. The future will belong to those who can think independently. As artificial intelligence, automation, and rapid change take over many tasks, what will remain uniquely human is the ability to judge wisely, to see beyond the obvious, and to create meaning from complexity. Machines can give you data, but they cannot give you discernment. They cannot weigh human values, ethics, or long-term consequences. That is your role, and if you fail to think critically, someone else will do the thinking for you, and you will be left following instead of leading. So ask yourself this: do you want to be driven by the flood of information, reacting without control, or do you want to be the one who stands calm, analyzes, and decides with precision? Critical thinking is not just a skill. It is a shield against manipulation, a compass in confusion, and a weapon for creating advantage in a world that is speeding up every single day. The moment you sharpen it, you step into a level of clarity and power that makes you unstoppable no matter what comes next. Communication is the bridge between your ideas and the world, and in today's environment, it has become the most valuable currency you can hold. No matter how skilled, talented, or intelligent you are, if you cannot express yourself with clarity, confidence, and impact, your value remains hidden. The ability to communicate is what turns vision into movement, knowledge into influence, and potential into opportunity. Those who master communication don't just share information. They inspire action, they shape perception, and they open doors that would otherwise stay locked. Every day, communication is shaping your future whether you realize it or not. The words you choose, the tone you carry, the energy you project. These elements either build trust or destroy it, either draw people toward you or push them away. In a world overflowing with messages, where everyone is trying to be heard, what sets you apart is not just what you say, but how you say it. Communication is not only about talking, it is about connection. If people don't feel you, they won't follow you, no matter how brilliant your ideas are. Think about history's most influential figures. They were not always the smartest, but they knew how to move people with words. They knew how to tell a story that touched the heart, how to deliver a message that stuck in the mind, how to stir emotions that drove action. That is the power of communication. It bypasses logic and goes straight to the core of human behavior. Because at the end of the day, people don't make decisions solely on facts. They decide based on how something makes them feel, and effective communication creates that feeling. But communication is not only about speaking, it is also about listening. Real influence is not a one-way street. When you listen deeply, when you give someone the experience of being heard and understood, you create loyalty and trust. Too often people communicate only to respond, not to understand. True communicators slow down, they pay attention to what is beneath the words, and they respond in a way that makes the other person feel valued. When you do this, you are not just exchanging words, you are building a bond, and that bond is worth more than any transaction. Communication also requires adaptability. The way you speak to a child is different from how you speak to a colleague, which is different again from how you speak to a large audience. The skill is in adjusting your message without losing authenticity. If you can take a complex idea and explain it simply, you show mastery. If you can take a vision and paint it so clearly that others see themselves inside it, you create alignment. If you can hold a conversation in a way that leaves the other person feeling better than before, you elevate both of you. The future will belong to communicators because technology may replace many tasks, but it will never replace human connection. Artificial intelligence can deliver information, but it cannot replace the spark of passion in a human voice, the empathy in a shared moment, or the trust built through authentic conversation. In an economy of attention, those who communicate with power will always rise above the noise. They will be the ones who lead, who influence, and who create movements that change lives. Developing communication skills takes consistent practice. It means paying attention to your words and refining them. It means stepping outside your comfort zone to speak when your instinct is to stay silent. It means learning to tell stories because stories are how humans have connected for centuries. It means practicing presence in conversations instead of being distracted. And above all, it means aligning your words with your actions because the most powerful communication is integrity. When people can trust that you live the message you speak, when you realize communication is a currency, you begin to treat every interaction as an opportunity to invest. Every conversation is a chance to build trust, to inspire, to lead. And just like financial currency, the more wisely you use it, the richer you become in influence, relationships, and opportunities. Communication has the power to elevate you or hold you back. If you master it, you will never be ignored. You will be remembered, respected, and followed. Because in the end, it's not just about what you know or what you do, it's about how powerfully you can share it with the world. Focus is the weapon that cuts through the noise of life, and in a world that is constantly pulling at your attention, it has become the rarest and most valuable skill of all. We live in an age of distraction, notifications, endless choices, information overload, and competing demands. Most people are not failing because they lack talent or opportunity. They are failing because their attention is scattered, their energy is diluted, and they never give their best to the few things that actually matter. Focus is not just about concentrating, it is about deciding, about saying no to 1,000 things so that you can say yes with full power to the few that truly move you forward. The truth is, overwhelm is not caused by having too much to do. It is caused by trying to give equal weight to everything. When everything feels urgent, nothing becomes important. Focus is the discipline of asking yourself, what really matters right now? What will move the needle? What aligns with my ultimate vision? Without this discipline, you end up busy but not effective, running in circles but not progressing, tired but not fulfilled. Focus demands clarity, and clarity is power. When you learn to focus, you tap into a level of performance most people never experience. Think of a magnifying glass. When light is scattered, it warms but does little more. But when you concentrate that light into a single point, it becomes powerful enough to ignite fire. Your mind works the same way. Scattered attention keeps you warm but never makes you burn. Focused attention creates intensity, and intensity creates results. The difference between average and extraordinary often comes down to nothing more than the ability to focus relentlessly on what matters most. Focus also requires courage, because the moment you decide to focus, you must also decide to eliminate. That means letting go of distractions, cutting off lesser priorities, and sometimes even disappointing people who want your attention. This is why so few people master focus. It feels uncomfortable to say no, but every no is a yes to something greater. Every time you protect your focus, you are investing in your future, and over time, those small acts of discipline compound into massive results. There is also an emotional side to focus. When you are scattered, you feel anxious and restless because your energy is stretched in too many directions. But when you bring all your energy into one thing, you experience flow, that state where time seems to disappear, and you are fully immersed in what you are doing. Flow is not only productive, it is deeply fulfilling. It is in those moments of focus that you feel most alive, most creative, and most capable. That is why focus is not just about achievement. It is about experiencing life at a higher level. To strengthen your focus, you must train it like a muscle. This means practicing daily habits that build your capacity to concentrate. It means creating environments that reduce distraction and protect your mental space. It means setting clear goals so your focus has a target. It means giving your best energy to your most important work instead of wasting it on trivial tasks. And it means being present, not living in regrets of the past or worries of the future, but channeling all your power into the now. The future will reward those who can focus, because in a noisy world, attention is the scarcest resource. Companies, advertisers, social media platforms, everyone is fighting to hijack your attention. But if you can master focus, you become unshakable. You stop being a consumer of distractions and start being a creator of results. You stop reacting to everything and start choosing deliberately. That kind of power makes you unstoppable. Focus is the antidote to overwhelm. It transforms chaos into clarity, distraction into direction, and potential into performance. When you focus, you stop scattering your power and start channeling it like a laser beam. You accomplish more in days than most do in months. You create progress instead of excuses, and you live not in the noise of busyness, but in the joy of meaningful achievement. Master focus, and you master your life. Resilience is the art of turning pain into power, setbacks into stepping stones, and obstacles into opportunities. It is the inner strength that allows you to rise after every fall and to keep moving forward when everything in you wants to stop. Life will test you. It's not a matter of if, but when. Challenges, disappointments, and failures are not signs that you are broken. They are part of the process of becoming stronger. Resilience is what separates those who get crushed by life from those who use the very weight of adversity to build unshakable strength. When you face a setback, the natural instinct is to see it as the end. We feel frustration, doubt, even despair. But resilience teaches you to see setbacks differently. A setback is not the end of the road. It is a bend in the road, a redirection, a lesson disguised as pain. Every successful person you admire has faced moments of defeat, moments where quitting seemed easier than continuing. The difference is not that they avoided hardship, but that they refused to stay down. They treated failure as feedback, as information, as a teacher pointing them toward growth. Resilience is not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It is about acknowledging the struggle, but choosing not to be defined by it. It's saying, "This may knock me down, but it will not keep me there." It is about finding meaning in hardship, discovering strengths you didn't know you had, and using the experience to prepare for something greater. The truth is, every time you rise from a setback, you don't just return to who you were. You return stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the future. What makes resilience so powerful is that it transforms adversity into energy. Instead of draining you, challenges fuel you. Think of a rubber band. The more it is stretched, the more potential energy it stores, and when released, it launches forward with greater force. That is what resilience does. The more life stretches you, the more power you build. When you finally bounce back, you don't just return. You surge forward with momentum that propels you further than before. Resilience also protects your mindset. When difficulties arise, most people fall into negativity and hopelessness. They tell themselves stories of defeat. "I'm not good enough. This always happens to me. I'll never make it." Resilient people tell themselves a different story. They say, "This is tough, but I am tougher. This hurts, but I will heal. This is a delay, not a dead end." The story you tell yourself in hard times determines whether you stay down or rise again. Resilience is built on the belief that no matter what happens, you have the ability to come back stronger. Developing resilience is not about waiting for life to get easier. It is about training yourself to get stronger. It's about practicing persistence when the path feels long. It's about leaning on faith, vision, or purpose when your strength feels gone. It's about surrounding yourself with people who lift you up instead of those who drag you down. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in challenge. Every difficult moment you face is an opportunity to train your inner strength, to condition yourself to endure, adapt, and rise. The future will demand resilience more than ever because the pace of change is relentless and uncertainty is constant. There will be times when plans collapse, when dreams get delayed, when the unexpected shakes your foundation. Without resilience, those moments will break you, but with resilience, those same moments will shape you. They will forge character, sharpen perspective, and create a depth of strength that nothing can take away. Resilience is the ultimate comeback power. It doesn't mean you never fall, it means you always rise. It doesn't mean you never feel pain, it means you refuse to be defined by it. It doesn't mean you never fail. It means you turn failure into fuel. Every setback can become a setup for a greater comeback if you choose to respond with resilience. And when you make resilience your standard, no storm, no struggle, and no obstacle will ever have the final say in your life.